Well, hey, bestest bud Sejohn. What is it that you have been playing lately on your PC via Steam?
Well, Devin, I've got Zexion.
Oh, Zexion? Isn't that crazy Metroidvania released by Gallant Leaf last year, 2025?
Yes, and I feel like I legally have to say hashtag not an ad.
No, this is not an ad. We are just two bros talking about the games we are playing on Steam PC. Tell me, Sejohn, is it true that as of the day this episode released, January 26, 2026, that you can get Zexion for a great discount on Steam?
It's a true.
How much a discount are we talking about?
$13.99.
And that's about a 30% savings off of its regular price of $19.99. Right?
Yeah.
Good. It's just you're the one who has the Steam store up. I'm going purely off of my eidetic memory. Yes, let us laugh. But the most important thing is that ends today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to get Zexion for big discount, make sure you go to Steam and download Zexion for only $13.99. I have it on pretty good authority that the next episode, Zexion's gonna be a pretty big subject matter. Is that right, bestest friend Sejohn Sarowick?
You'll see.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devin Decker, and joining me, my ever-patient host companion, it's Sejohn Sarowick. How are you today, Sejohn?
I'm doing fine, man. What's going on?
There's an inch of snow on the ground already, Sejohn, and I'm freaking out a little bit. Because I don't know if you've heard, but weather analysts and specialists and meteorologists are predicting between 1 foot and 7,000 feet of snow for the northern country of the United States of America at this time.
Well, and this is while there's also some cold front going across the south that they're not used to, right? Because Texas was losing their minds this week.
Yeah, it's been a real scene, man. No, it's
Yeah, Mother Earth is turning on us.
And honestly, who could blame her? Certainly not us at the Say Report. No, it's also like everybody said that we were going to have a tough winter, and you know, I never said it out loud, but I remembered those like predictions that we're going to have a hard winter. It's going to be a hard winter. And it'd been pretty mild until 2026 kicked off. Now, I know that winter doesn't technically begin until December 21st, but still, this mild winter that they were predicting, this difficult winter that they predicted, they were spot on.
Yeah, things are going to be crazy in this country for a bit. I honestly... I really don't know what Texas does anymore because, like, they're pretty much guaranteed to have a power failure this year. And the idea that in the year of 2026 that a entire state is on edge because of 2 inches of snow is fucking awful.
Well, I mean, like, once they experience the event that they experienced, was it like 2021 or 22, where they, like, had a real... like snowy winter and all of their things fell apart. I mean, I understand that infrastructure is pretty much the United States of America's biggest weakness. We've made jokes about it as we've driven across this great country multiple times. But like, and I understand that even like if it was 2021, I don't remember the exact year. And I just remember that they had that terrible fucking winter. They've had, if it was 2021, 5 years to like rebound from that and change things. But like in 5 years, what can you honestly do to prepare for that? I have to look it up because I feel like a jerk not knowing when that bad Texas winter was. Bad.
I mean,
Texas
the thing is that
winter.
they've had more than one in the last 5 years is the real secret, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was at least a few years ago when they had the major outages, but it's not like they've been on like a winning streak since. So yeah, no, I don't know, man, but that's like a wild kind of conceit, considering we grew up in a time when the idea was that America can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, it sounds impossible, but that is why we are Americans, and that's just not the it's not the prevailing attitude any longer. Let's put it that way.
I mean, you say that, but also as a child, I always, as much as America can do it, right? We get things done. As far as Texas was concerned, what I saw every time I walked into, was it Lone Star Steakhouse? I think it was Lone Star Steakhouse on Route 2 in Warwick. Is like Texas, a whole other country. And we have seen that since February of 2021, when that winter storm hit, that really brought to attention the power issues of Texas essentially having its own grid. Like, that's the big secret, is that the power grid in this country, there's a major one on the East Coast, there's a major one on the West Coast, and then there's Texas's power grid. Because they don't want to be beholden to anything. Because it really kind of feels like, since Texas was made a state, I need to look this up. When was Texas made a state? December 29th, 1845. It has always kind of felt like Texas is like, at any given moment, we might not be a state anymore. We just want you guys to know that.
Or at least in my memory, right? I mean, like, they've been talking about succession since as long as I can remember.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why is that, like, that's
secession.
Secession, yeah. Secession.
I mean, they were talking a shit ton about Succession because everybody was. But
it was a wonderful show that I've never seen an episode of, but everybody seemed to enjoy it. We have fun at the show, and I'm so happy to be back. It is so weird when something comes up like what came up with last episode. Like, I know that legitimately it has only been like 10 days since we've recorded, but it feels like forever. It truly does feel like, do I remember how to do this? And I hope I do. I mean, tell me if I don't. But yeah, I don't know. It's always nice to be back in this seat. And I did say I was going to get your reaction to the title of this episode in real time. But before we do that, I do have a few little bits of like cleanup, corrections, and all that I want to address before we move into, all right, that's what I thought, the actual title of this episode and what we're going to be talking about. So let me bring up my handy dandy notepad file. So the first thing is, I, in the Big Bully episode, say about 100 times that the movie came out in March of 1996. And I say one time when I realize I'm wrong at the end of it, that it released on January 26, 1996, which this episode is releasing on January 26, 2026. That's weird, right? 30 years from the release of Big Bully, you get this episode that the title has not been revealed to Sejohn yet. But I did want to like take time at the beginning of an episode in case you were listening to the Big Bully episode and you're like, fucking Devon doesn't know anything about this fucking movie. He keeps thinking it came out in March. I can't finish it. Finish that episode. I'm so proud of that episode. Can I just like be honest about you? And that movie,
I would say that probably what you're thinking of is the home release. Theirs are out.
That's solid. I don't know. For some reason, it's stuck in my head as March, but it came out in January of 1996. Square in the Dead Zone, which if you haven't listened to the episode, that's gonna be clever when you do. So I just did that. Also, like while we're talking about Big Bully, and I know this because I brought it up. I think I misread the scene where Kirby reads his father the poem, because I read it as Roscoe understanding that he hasn't been a good friend to David, but actually I think it's what is supposed to happen in that movie. And to re-quote a very intelligent Sejohn Sarowick from that episode that we released last week, I don't know if Tom Arnold knows what he's doing in any given moment, what his acting choices are.
Yeah, I don't. because like that moment is such a sweet and endearing moment, and this idea that this was and in isolation, that
Yeah.
scene is a really cute, beautiful scene, well acted between two people that are probably not looking at acting as a major career, right?
Right.
Like I love Tom Arnold, but he's made more money, I think, doing sports commentary than he's ever done making like TV shows and movies these days. And for a child actor, that kid was great, but I couldn't tell that kid from Adam these days, right?
Right.
So like it's what you get is you just get a really genuine scene of two people working hard in the moment, and that's great. That's some of the best movie making you can get. And the poem makes you really kind of buy into this idea that like, oh, he's gonna realize what a bad friend he's being. He's gonna come back and buck up, and this is gonna be about them trying to get back on track. But him, and no, it's none of that. None of that happens.
Because I think what that scene is meant, or at least how it is then interpreted based on what happens in the rest of the film, is that it's Roscoe, Tom Arnold, realizing that David hasn't been a good friend to him. And this whole time that he thought David was genuinely his best friend, he has been treating him poorly. He has been bullied by David. And that's what, like, causes him to finally fully fracture and become a full-on, like, psychopath slasher movie villain for the third act of that film. Like, it's...
Yeah, no, he
it just
might
like
as well put on a hockey mask for the third act of that film.
I shot up straight in bed and I'm like, oh no, like I thought it was this beautiful moment where Roscoe realizes I've been a bad friend. But then based on everything that happens afterwards, it's Roscoe realizing David's been a bad friend to me and he must pay for his sins. Good stuff. Just talking about Big Bully. Another thing that I wanted to address is we got a comment on our episode Failing at Failing. And that's me, because I thought that Flight or Fight was the name of the Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson film. That's actually Flight Risk. Fight or Flight, I don't even know what this movie is, but apparently it's a Josh Hart on an airplane, kind of doing like a John Wick impersonation based on the comment.
That's a newer one that just came out in the last year or two, right?
Yeah. It ranked lower than Ella McKay when I was going through the domestic box office. So just like shout out to King Cool for being like, I don't want to like actually the Say report, but you got that wrong. But if you listen to that episode, Failing at Failing, like it kind of feels like he completed the assignment perfectly because he gave evidence on how we were wrong. And like the Say report, as we are about to embark upon our 10th season, this is the first episode of season 10. That's why we're cleaning up these last remaining things.
Okay.
We want to be told when we're wrong so that we can get better, right? One of the big problems in this world is that when people are incorrect, they just let them be incorrect. And then those errors take on a life of their own. So please, to quote me from that episode, we're happy to be told we're wrong. Just please bring better evidence than just grok. Like that's what we're looking for. That's a nice combination of it. So that's like the stuff there, because the other stuff that I have in my notepad is stuff I actually want to talk about in this episode. So ladies and gentlemen, putting season 9 in our rearview mirror, entering season 10. Sejohn, do you want to know what I decided to call this episode?
What? Yeah. What is your title, man?
My friend, welcome to Song Sung Blue Moon.
Oh.
It's a build a title, you
no.
see. And I happened to see Song Sung Blue and Blue Moon in the time since we last recorded. And I got some pretty heavy thoughts about both of them.
No. Remind me again what Blue Moon is. I can't do a quick Google here like I usually do because I don't have any keys on my keyboard at the moment.
Are you replacing?
Yeah. So I decided to do a full-on cleanup last night, right? I took all the keys off. I went through. I have a little makeup brush that I use for cleaning up some small particles that I still want to keep track of. Anybody out there knows what I'm probably talking about. But I took that to it to like clear out some of the like crap in between the keys, and it looks gorgeous. And then while I had all the keys off, I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to get translucent red keys for this so that I could see the lettering even when the lights are off, because this is the Say Report board that Devin bought me a few years ago. For anybody that remembers that is yellow, and it was pure yellow with some white and red accents here and there. But I wanted to do a full on conversion on the keys so that it's truly yellow and red. And those keys should be here this afternoon. There was a 50-50 chance of them showing up at 4 a.m. this morning in an Amazon order, and that order did show up, and it had a pretty nice Turtle Beach controller that we'll talk about probably later. But it did not have my keys in it. But it is on track to be delivered this afternoon. So.
Cool, very cool. That's the thing about this. I love this keyboard. The yellow is just so yellow, and it really works when you consider like Ducky is the name of the keyboard company. It's like duck yellow, and that works so well with the aesthetic of the Say Report. But the fact that it has backlighting, but the keys are not like shine through keys, is the weirdest choice for me. Like, just straight up. And I gotta tell you, like, because Ducky, probably the best mechanical keyboards that I have ever worked with. Like, I will say that straight on. Like, when I got into mechanical keyboards, Ducky became my gold standard, just in build quality and innovations. In fact, I just received a Ducky Origin keyboard yesterday that I'm going to completely take off the keys and reformat, because Cerakey, we are not sponsored by any of these companies, as I realize that I'm just giving free advertisement right here. They do ceramic keycaps, and I bought a Ducky with black cherry switches, and I replaced those with black ceramic keycaps, and I love it. And they've just released a grayish color, so like it's grayish beige, but it really looks like silver. So I want to take a Speed Silver Cherry like keyboard and replace the whole thing with those colored keycaps. So that's my next.
Ceramics have like a really muted click to them, right? Because like part of the deal with the ceramics is that they don't resonate like the plastic does.
Exactly, like they're less hollow than plastic, so like it's more that, and they also feel very nice. They're like cool to the touch whenever you're doing it. They have a nice weight to them too. Like, I'm a little nervous that the weight might be too much for the quick actuation of a Speed Silver switch, so I'm gonna find out about it. Like, it's a fun experiment to do. But like, the main keyboards that I really enjoy, and this is the Say Report boards are not that. They have MX Cherry clear switches in it, which like are kind of between like a brown switch and I guess like a white from like Kale, Kale. I'm not sure how you pronounce that company's name. And I like it because it's a little harder to push the keys in the Say Report keyboard. But like the bump of when it like actually accentuates and is activated feels just so nice. But they didn't have a market for them. Nobody wanted them. They're like, these are not any better than browns. It's sort of like the difference between linear reds and linear blacks from Cherry MX. This feels hyper nerdy, and I apologize to anybody about it.
Like, but we're full on the mechanical keyboard stuff in this house. I have a partner that is sensitive to small sounds, things like chewing mouth sounds, things like if something's rattling in the car, it can actually be anxiety inducing, right? So very early on, they adopted the use of mechanical keyboards in order to have more control over the sound of their own device. And they got a huge upgrade this Christmas, because they got these really nice ceramics themselves that are the best way to describe them are like those funfetti marshmallows that you see. Like, you can get like the colorful marshmallows, mini marshmallows. It's like looking at like a bag of those, right? And like, it's just all different colors. It goes in a really nice what's the word I'm looking for?
Pattern or
it just does an array of, it starts at red and works its way down the rainbow across the way, but it's all like pastels, and they do look like if you're just looking at it and not touching it, you honestly, they look like they're gonna squish underneath your fingers when you press them. It's cute, and they're actually delightfully soft and extremely quiet, because that's part of the deal is that it is like almost no click at all.
Yeah, it is. It has changed it. Like I built that black one for my office specifically because I've had my first keyboard was a Ducky with God, it was a 2, right? Like we have 3s and it was a 1-2 that had black key switches. Because I like the black because it's a harder accentuation. It kind of feels like using a typewriter a little bit with the force that you need. But then when I found out about the Speed Silvers, like you can just like brush your fingers over them and they type. So like if you're trying to go quick with things, they're mostly used in like gaming. If you're using a keyboard for gaming, so that you're getting the fastest reaction time possible. But I've enjoyed them in a typing setting, so I'm like, oh, I'll have the opportunity to go from my blacks, which is like kind of a satisfying thing, to like these now silvers that'll have silver keycaps. Like, I'm excited about it. I like that we stumbled into mechanical keyboards. Because
yeah, I mean, you know, like, and you say that it's kind of a nerdy topic, but I mean, like, outside of things like gaming and stuff, mechanical keyboards are huge when it comes to like stenography and note taking. Secretaries and office staff use them. Large offices, when there is 100 people in these stupid open office concept areas, like it can be a godsend if the company invests in some good mechanical keyboards that allow and then you know do what needs to be done to quiet them. It's it's a nerdy concept when you first hear it. I'm not going to argue that, but like the more and more that you look at some of the practical applications, because like I said, I straight up know somebody that uses one because it's technically a medical thing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great, and they're so much better to maintain. Like, I know that a regular membrane keyboard is cheap as fuck, but like, if you're working in an office, if you're working with a keyboard, you're only as good as your tools, right? It is a poor carpenter who blames their tools, but like, you should have the right tools for the job. And if you're using a keyboard that like, you hit that key when you're typing something, it really does have a demonstrable change to the output of your work, like undeniably. All right. So back to Sejohn's question of Blue Moon. Blue Moon is the latest from director Richard Linklater. So from Dazed and Confused and Before Sunrise, if you've only followed him via the Say Report, but also like big name stuff like School of Rock. Right, he's a pretty well known director.
Is Linklater Boyhood? Or
yeah, he did Boyhood as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like he does a gambit of films, right? School of Rock to what did I just mention?
Boyhood.
Boyhood, right? Like in terms of the artsy concept of filmmaking, he's a really interesting director because the dude knows how to put together a family-friendly blockbuster if you want him to, as is evidenced by things like School of Rock. But he's also not afraid to like dive into a weird-ass project with Ethan Hawke for 2 decades. So, you know.
Right? And of course, he had already at that point dove into a project with Ethan Hawke for 2 decades, beginning with Before Sunrise and ending with Before Midnight. So like, yeah, I guess we'll do this. I mean, when they started making it before Sunset had released, if the 12 years tracks, if I'm doing that math correctly in my head. So yeah, it all kind of comes out in the wash. And he is sort of an Oscar darling. And this film that he directed has received 2 Oscar nominations. And we don't really care about the Oscars here at the show as much as we used to. But Ethan Hawke...
I gotta say, I care a little bit this year, man. Some stuff that's come out about the nominations I'm super excited about. Sinners holding the record now for the most nominations in movie history is pretty fucking
huge.
solid.
It's fucking huge. Like, honestly, this is the first time I went through the thing and I'm like, I've seen a good amount of these. And I guess this is just what's going to happen if we have less movies each year, is that we're really going to see the cream of the crop come out at award season time.
It's the hope.
It is. Fingers are crossed. But so Blue Moon, Ethan Hawke is in the film. He plays Lawrence Hart. The whole movie is Lawrence Hart and like dealing with his alcoholism and mental health in the wake of the opening of Oklahoma. And it is crackerjack. He's so good. Like, Ethan Hawke was so good, and it definitely deserves the nomination. I haven't seen a lot of the other nominees, which is just like being honest. That's actually not true. I think I've now seen almost every nominee. That's true. I've seen 3 out of the 5. One Battle After Another, Leonardo DiCaprio. Michael B. Jordan nominated for Sinners. Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme, which I still haven't gotten out to see, which I'm disappointed about. And then Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Based on the 3 that I have seen, Ethan Hawke would be in the lead for me. Not that I didn't like what Michael B. Jordan was bringing to the table in Sinners, but
I think this is a definitive moment for Timothy Chalamet. If he gets the Oscar for this role, he's going to become insufferable. But if he doesn't, he will remain a humble, family-friendly actor.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's some questions there. And again, I know nothing about Wagner Moura's portrayal in The Secret Agent. So I think if I'm going to complete any of the, like, I saw all the nominees in this category, it's probably going to be actor in a leading role. Because it means going out of my way to see one film. Because I've wanted to see Marty Supreme since I saw the trailer for it. And I just don't even know what The Secret Agent is. And as much as I like Leonardo DiCaprio, his performance in One Battle After Another is not what I walked away being like, that was really, really good. I walked away with a lot of other thoughts.
He famously holds an Oscar for like a makeup Oscar, right? Like not to diminish the work that he did for The Revenant, but like many people walked away from that film, walked away from that Oscars where he won for that film, saying that like it's not even his best work, right? So like, I think there's still a good chance he gets it because that seems to be the way of things for him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens on award night, and we'll talk about it here. But also for The Revenant, like, because I felt that way, and then I was having a discussion. He really put himself into that, like, cold situation and everything. Like, I didn't realize the actual exposure that was on display for that film. And I'm like, well, that suddenly everything made sense to me. I was sitting with,
like I said, he definitely did some real work on that movie.
Yeah.
It's not that I want to diminish that, but I think anybody that would talk to you, that you would talk to, would say he deserved to win an Oscar much earlier than that movie.
Certainly. Certainly. But yeah, so I saw Blue Moon. I mean, of course, it's Richard Linklater. I was going to do it anyway, but then suddenly I had a fire under my ass to see it once it got nominated, because I love Ethan Hawke and I love what he's doing. But then, like, the most interesting part about the film is that it's not written by Linklater. It's written by Robert Kaplow, which I'll look at other stuff it is. But then it's also adapted from the letters between Lawrence Hart and Elizabeth Wayland, which is weird that its second nomination is for Best Original Screenplay, when, like, the movie itself is very much adapted from the letters between these two people. Like, that's what it says on the screen. So I guess adaptation of living stuff is not the same as adapting an already, like, established piece of entertainment.
I mean, if I write a screenplay off the top of my head about, like, Freddie Mercury, say, and then it comes out and there's a lot of inaccuracies in it, it could still go on to be a pretty decent film. And I think most people would look at that and say, no, that's an original screenplay.
Yeah. It's not, but it's weird that,
especially because of the inaccuracies.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about inaccuracies. Robert Kaplow only has one other credit as a writer, and that's for Me and Orson Welles, another film that he did that Linklater directed. Which that movie, I love that movie.
I love that movie. That's the Zac Efron one, right?
Yeah, Zac Efron and Christian McKay.
Who is it that plays Wells in it? He's so good.
Christian McKay.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, that movie is really, really enjoyable. I need to see that one again. It has been, that came out in 2008. I saw it 2012. So it's been 13 years.
I don't know if I'd ever make the effort to go out and see it again, but I definitely wouldn't be disappointed if somebody brought it to me and said, I think that I want to see this. Like, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
I think one of the reasons why I want to watch it again is in the wake of Blue Moon and just how enjoyable that was as a film. Like, I like how Kaplow writes. And, I am almost a Richard Linklater completionist. Like, I think, like, maybe I've never seen Slacker is like one that I can, like, sit down and say, this is a Linklater film that I have never seen. which is crazy.
I think it might actually be playing in the next couple of weeks here in Salt Lake because they're doing a bunch of classic Sundance movies for the final Sundance.
Wow, that's
in Utah.
Very cool.
So that would actually, I should keep an eye out for that because I mean that is one of the most famous Sundance stories out there. You know?
Right, that's like the Sundance story, kind of. So many other films that then got their start at Sundance are like I'm looking at Clerks, but like Clerks really feels like Kevin Smith is like, oh, if this guy can do it, I can do it, and they're both black and white and all that other stuff like. That might just be trivial stuff, like, on paper, but whoever. But yeah, like, I think I want to go back to me and Orson Welles, because this one, it reminded me of it. Really, really enjoyable film. The 3 unities are on display. The whole thing takes place at, like, a night at Sardi's after the premiere of Oklahoma. Ethan Hawke disappears into the role. Bobby Cannavale is just wonderful as his foil for most of the movie. It does that thing with like, oh, this is the younger version of somebody we know will go on to be successful. So, yeah. And, nice. Coolidge Corner Theater, they're honoring Ethan Hawke. Like when we were there seeing whatever movie we saw, Jay Kelly, they were also showing Before Sunrise. And that was to like kick off with showing a bunch of classic Ethan Hawke films for he's getting an award from them this February. And he'll be like doing a talk there. So like, it's nice to see that Ethan Hawke still has it. Not that I think he ever lost it, but it really was a really. You know what I saw?
I caught a scene of the other day because I was clicking through channels and trying to find a football game, but I landed on Gattaca and like stopped for like 10 minutes.
Gattaca, I feel like that's how everybody sees Gattaca, because the first time you watch Gattaca, you're like, oh, Gattaca's on? What's this about? And you stop, and then suddenly you've seen all of Gattaca. Gattaca might be the only film that I have never seen without commercials. Because, like, most films that I've seen on cable, I'll go out and I'll, like, search out and watch it on DVD or some other, like, form the way it was intended. I don't believe I ever have with Gattaca. And I really love I have a huge affinity for it.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually got a recommendation for an Ethan Hawke project while I was away last week. I have a friend that was super deep into The Lowdown. I forgot that was one that he was in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've wanted to watch it. It's just there's so much going on in TV right now.
I know. Yeah.
Which is another thing that we'll talk about once we get through this section of it. So Blue Moon, of the Oscar nominees that I hadn't seen, I'm very happy to say that I have now seen it, and I will recommend it to anybody who enjoys it. And it's only an hour and 40 minutes long. It's not over long the way that we see a lot of the stuff that like the Academy tends to nominate. It goes by very quickly. It's well scripted, very well acted. Yeah, a lot of credit there. I have less kind things to say about Song Sung Blue. What do you know about Song Sung Blue, Siege?
So Song Sung Blue is, to my knowledge, a not quite true story about a Neil Diamond impersonator act. And I don't know who... what's her name? That plays the second. It's Hugh Jackman and
Kate Hudson.
What's her name?
Kate Hudson.
Sorry?
Kate Hudson?
Kate Hudson.
Oliver's sister.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman play a kind of a traveling like cover band version of Neil Diamond stuff, and like it's just like a music biopic. But what's interesting is like a biopic about a musician that is not a creative necessarily doing this like cover work stuff. So that seems really weird to me.
So the most important thing to know about Song Sung Blue.
Oh, also, wait, I want to get one thing out there before. Also, the preview shows a moment that I think is supposed to be hugely plot significant and completely turned off so many people to seeing this movie that I know personally.
All right.
There's straight up a moment where she looks like she's about to get hit by a car. And I'm pretty sure she does. But anyway, go on, Def.
Spoilers for Song Sung Blue.
It's in the preview. I haven't seen the movie. I'm glad that I didn't see a preview
for this movie. I just heard that it was about a Neil Diamond tribute act and was like, oh my God, will it be the greatest movie about a Neil Diamond tribute act, or will it only have to resolve itself to be the second best film about a Neil Diamond tribute act? The first film, of course, being Saving Silverman.
Saving Silverman.
Coming to yay! That was for Claude. And also anybody else who loves Saving Silverman.
Man.
But yeah, and I am here to say, spoilers again for Song Sung Blue, a film that I think they really could have got some mileage out of it had they called it Saving Sardina, the last name of the male, of both of them, Mike and Claire Sardina, who are in the tribute act. It is firmly only the second best film about a Neil Diamond tribute act. And I feel bad about that. But you already sort of referenced Bohemian Rhapsody and how it got a lot of inaccuracies.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the biggest things about that movie. One of the biggest conversations about that movie at the time was like, there's a lot going on in this film that doesn't add up. And Devin and I even had some direct stuff to say about that. Yeah,
it's and that's something that bothers me. So the big story about Song Sung Blue is that it is based on a 2008 documentary. You remember how, like, when King of Kong came out in 2008 and everybody was at a rush to write the fictionalized version of that, and really the closest we got was Pixels? Because I don't know what happened. This film comes out, this documentary comes out in 2008, directed and written by Greg Coase, and it really gets where it's going because of Eddie Vedder. Of Pearl Jam, because Eddie Vedder was a huge fan of this Neil Diamond cover group called Lightning and Thunder. That's what they called themselves. And when Pearl Jam was playing in Milwaukee, he invited them to open for him because he wanted to showcase local acts as part of that tour. So they opened for Pearl Jam in the mid 90s. And I say the mid 90s because my biggest complaint about Song Sung Blue is that it takes 19 years of the history of Mike and Claire Sardina and condenses it into 2 years. And
story-wise, it claims it happened over 2 years.
It happens over 2 years. So it becomes the first thing about Song Sung Blue. One of the reasons why I didn't go see it in theaters, I waited till it was available at home, was because Mike Sardina Jr., the son of Mike Sardina, now they had been married, they had children, Mike and Claire, and then they found each other later in life. So they're a blended family. They're like the Brady Bunch with 2 less kids, really, right? So like a normal sort of nuclear family. Mike Sardina Jr. is completely erased from the film Song Sung Blue that released in 2025, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. He's not there
Is
at
somebody
all.
off?
He's a consultant on the film. His character just doesn't exist. And I think the main reason for that is that he does not appear at all in the documentary. So when Craig Brewer starts writing the fictional account of it, he's basically adapting that documentary to be a palatable feature film experience. And that person's not there, so it never enters into it. So Mike Sardina Jr. has been going out there pretty regularly talking about the inaccuracies in the film, and they're large. The inaccuracies are large, but again, it's entertainment, right? Cool Runnings, my favorite thing to point at, Jamaica had a 2-man bobsled team. They didn't have a 4-man bobsled team. There was no Irv Blitzer, former, sprinting Olympic coach that John Candy plays. It was sort of like a military move by Jamaica to give themselves a foothold in the international stage that is the Winter Olympics. Them throwing together a 2-man bobsled
not to make
team.
them sound like an evil, dictatorship, because that's the point of the Olympics is is that you want to get yourself noticed on the world stage by people.
Yeah, it's about that the the competitorship and the kindness of like, we can compete in sport as well as like on this thing. But like, that was the main drive behind it, is that like, we want to have a foothold in the Winter Olympics. All we have are summer sports because we're a Caribbean island. We're a tropical island. So like, we don't have a lot of snow here.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not producing skiers or ice skaters. So that was like the main drive behind it. And there was no one named Sanka Coffey or Yul Brenner on the Jamaican bobsled team. Like, you look at Cool Runnings through the right lens in 2026, it's a little bit offensive.
But Devin, at least Gordon Bombay is real, right?
We'll discuss that in February, Sejohn, when we finally finish the Mighty Ducks trilogy.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, but it's one of those situations. So I understand that some things are going to be changed, but like, what we complained about in Bohemian Rhapsody is that the rest of Queen is all pissy with Freddie Mercury for wanting to go off and do a solo album, where based on the timeline when that happens in the film, Brian May, guitarist of Queen, had done multiple solo projects. So, but that's not brought up in the movie. It's just, we can't believe you want to do something on your own, Freddie Mercury. How dare you? And I'm like, but all of you guys would do it. Like, oh no, just Freddie Mercury doesn't get to do anything else? Oh, we're just not going to touch that part. Right? Like, so I get it. I understand that there are things. But taking a story that happens over 19 years and condensing it to 2 years makes the entire experience just feel out of sorts. It feels jumpy. It feels patchy. You're like, what, they're getting married? Haven't they known each other for like at most 6 months? And I understand that they're older in life, but like, they don't even really seem to start dating until they've known each other for like 2 months. Like, it all just seems like it's moving very fast. And then, well, like,
right, it kind of does a little. It does a little disservice to their actual story to do that, because, like, I don't know, there's something much more powerful about a relationship that's 2 decades long, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's and to be fair, it does say based on a true love story. They do take that, because the realest thing about it, Claire Sardina has been out there saying, I love this movie. It did a wonderful job capturing the love that Mike and I had for each other. Mike Sardina, again, spoilers, he ended up passing away, and not in as dramatic a fashion as he does in the movie. Again, spoilers for this film, which I think is worth seeing. So if you don't want me to spoil it for you, then like, take a step back, go see Song Sung Blue, and then you can rejoin this episode. But like, in the movie, they are hired to perform. Kate Hudson does get hit by a car. That does happen in the movie. And
she's like looking at a house window. Like,
yeah,
it looks like a scene from a horror movie.
Yeah, it's really crazy. She's planting a garden under their bay window in their front yard. And there's like a hellacious curve. And the driver just loses control on the curve, ends up hitting their yard and smashing right into her. And she lives, but at the expense of one of her legs. She becomes an amputee. So then that makes her go off, and she's doing like painkillers, and she's not there anymore, and it's very difficult for the family. And it gets to the point where she's like, I need help, and has herself admitted to a mental hospital to like get better. And so when that's all condensed into 2 years, it just feels like, oh, and then she's cured after 28 days. Like, condensing the story takes away a lot of the like narrative heft of what this couple went through in order to become Lightning and Thunder. Like, the drama. Right? Like, it really, and I'm like, if this is how it happened, that's fine. But then I looked up and saw that, like, oh yeah, we had to condense 19 years into, and we decided that, like, if we made it faster, it'd feel better. To the fact that when another car hits the house the same way in the film, they're like inside getting ready to go somewhere. Another car loses control on that curve, hops the thing, slams into where Kate Hudson was. And in the film, it's like right after she gets back from the mental institution. And they all have this like cathartic laugh, like, ah, it happened again. And when Kate Hudson read the original script for the film, she's like, that's so unbelievable. Nobody in a theater is going to believe that that could happen in real life. But it did happen in real life. But what's unbelievable is that it would happen in real life like 4 to 5 months apart.
Yeah, I mean, it happening twice. It happening a dozen times. That would be a whole other thing. Then they could have the whole, like, we need to get out of here. This is a dangerous curve story.
I'm going to build a fucking stone wall around my house. Sorry. What'd you say?
I mean, it is a little weird that after somebody, I mean, you know, true stories are true stories in that regard, but like the second somebody in Utah goes off of a curve somewhere, within like a week, there's a guardrail up and 3 signs.
I think about all of the guardrails in like Western Coventry and how when I was learning to drive and I was with other like 16 to 18-year-olds, everybody would always be like, oh, you know what a guardrail means? Somebody went off the road here. Like that's what happens. Yeah. Though, of course, I say that and I think about like Old Stony Road, the one behind the University of Rhode Island, where I was in that car accident where we like, it was rainy and the person who was driving, it was not me, I will say that, was one of the brothers, to bring back one of my favorite ways to refer to people from my past that Sejohn understands. I'm like, dude, there's a stop sign, you need to slow down. And he's like, what? And then the stop sign came and he tried to just take the turn, lost control, and we went over into a ditch. We almost hit a boat that was like parked in that guy's yard, and there's still no guardrail there. So like, unfortunately, while they usually put something to stop people from driving off the road once we've identified, well, this is a dangerous spot, it doesn't always happen. But again, when it's condensed so heavily, 19 years of like a life, it just feels so unbelievable. Like really? Like you wouldn't do something about that? And it's echoed by the woman. Unfortunate. Yeah, it is unfortunate. And nobody's hurt the second time. Like even the driver is able to get out. But like, it's just, and to the fact that the woman who ultimately went on to be in the film and get nominated for Best Actor for her performance in that film, Best Actress, that's what they call it, for a Best Actress award from the Academy. Like, she reads it and she's like, this is so unbelievable. Why did you put this into the script? And it's like, yeah, okay, even the person is questioning it. But so she goes and she learns how to use a prosthetic. She gets mentally all right. And then they're approached by like that big theater where they opened for Pearl Jam in the film. They're like, we'd like you guys to play here on Wednesday night. And the reason why, and this is why I truly miss the 90s, Sejohn, the reason is that Neil Diamond is playing at like a huge arena show across the same town. So they want to counter program the Neil Diamond tribute act so that those people who couldn't get tickets to see Neil Diamond can come see their tribute act.
Now, was this a true...
that really happened. Or... that is a real thing that happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that whole thing really happened. So totally 90s.
How much is it implied that Vedder was the one that had like control over these kinds of decisions? Because there's this little piece of me that wants to think about him as a shrewd ass businessman.
I mean, that one, I don't know. Like, in the film, it's not that. Vedder, he's very small. The reason why Vedder is sort of like their guardian angel is that, like, that first documentary really didn't get, like, picked up until Vedder started to talk about his involvement with them and how it was this incredible part of his life. And then this movie really only got greenlit once Eddie Vedder started being like, oh yeah, no, like the documentary is excellent. I think it is a story. Like most people are not going to sit down and watch a documentary, but they'll watch a 2-hour movie if you put the right people in it. Like, so he's always advocating for them and the telling of this story. I don't know how much creative control he has in any of these moments.
Well, and I mean, moreover, the concert and like it being like a Pearl Jam show and they're opening for them. I just love the idea of like a early 1990s Eddie Vedder just being this like shrewd ass business guy who's like, Neil Diamond's playing across this town. Well, we're gonna get a better Neil Diamond here.
No, I mean that's a separate show. It's just the same venue that Pearl Jam played at that contacts them to like, we're gonna be in here. It's sort of like very reminiscent of like the Columbus Theater in Providence is what it felt like to me. When they were playing there. But yeah, and so that's the thing. So they have the character dying in the 90s when really he lived till 2006. In the movie, it's after that performance. The day of that performance, he slips in the bathroom and hits his head. And the reason he slips in the bathroom is that he has a minor cardiac event, because the character of Mike Sardina had like heart issues, which are greatly exaggerated for the film. Like, he would have like mini heart attacks and he would identify them, and it'd be like those heart attacks like, I think I'm having a heart attack, you need to get me to the hospital. Not one of those events where like you pass out, but like you can kind of feel it coming on. And he had heart problems his whole life, so like he's feeling one of those, and it makes him pass out. In the movie, he's in the bathroom, hits his head, has a huge like open gash on his head. He uses like nail glue to seal it up because he doesn't want to miss his big opportunity to perform in his Neil Diamond, what he calls interpretation act, the same night as Neil Diamond. And then Neil Diamond has reached out to the band to say like, I'd like to meet you guys after both of our shows end. So let's go to this frozen custard place I like. So they go and they perform the show, and the guy's like woozy because he hit his head and he had a freaking cardiac event earlier that day. And he ends up, again, huge spoilers for Song Sung Blue, but I'm just ripping the Band-Aid off for people. I enjoyed the movie, but honestly, I don't know the merit in seeing it. Watch the documentary. And I have not seen the documentary, but this is the kind of movie that made me want to seek out the real story. So I've read a lot of literature on the Sardinas and their actual story. But so he ends up dying in the back of the car as he's about to meet Neil Diamond. And that's how that goes in the movie. It does also happen in real life that he never met Neil Diamond, but Claire did. But so like that's it. And Claire understanding like they clearly love each other, and they took a good idea taking our love story and this fact that it kind of shook us both out of where we were in a kind of depression in this world and gave us something to live for, our love for each other and our love for performing and our band. Like, that's all true. But the stuff around it is just so unbelievable. Like, obviously, you have to take any film that is based on a true story with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But just... like, even, like, so I also watched Blue Moon, right? That's the title episode, Song Sung Blue Moon. Like, Blue Moon, there was never a moment where I'm like, oh, this is what happened that night at Sardi's. It never even talks about, like, based on a true story. I knew who Lawrence Hart is. I know who Dick Rogers is. I know who Oscar Hammerstein is. There are a nice, like, couple of hidden, like, cameos I'm not going to talk about because those are the things that really made Blue Moon shine as a film. But there was never a moment where I thought I was sitting down to get the true story of it. There was a moment with Song Sung Blue, starting with that based on a true love story, that I thought that it might approach, like, reality. And to condense a 19-year journey into 2 years, it trivializes how much effort these people had to put in order to be successful. It trivializes the lives and the mental health journeys that both of these people, like, experienced in those 19 years. It's just, it just felt so disingenuous. And I want to look at who Kate Hudson is up against for that. What's it? Actress in a leading role. I have not seen Hamnet. I have not seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I haven't seen Sentimental Value, and I haven't seen Begonia. She's the only actor that I have seen in the actress in a leading role category act. And she does a really good job. Like, I made a joke that it feels like they cut off her leg and they're going to reattach it after she's done. Like, she acts first of all, where we're at with special effects to make it look like somebody has lost a limb is very impressive. And then I was thinking that, like, if they ever did a Tropic Thunder sequel, that would be a very funny thing, is that I play a double amputee in this movie, so I've had my legs removed at the knee, and they're in cold storage, and I'm going to have them reattached after the film. Like, I see that as the next step for Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
Oh, God.
Like, it's just where it was. I mean, so she does a good job, and, like, I was entertained, but there was this ethereal thing in the background that just never sat right with me with the film. And that is why it's the second best film about a Neil Diamond tribute act. Though, let's be honest, they're probably the greatest Neil Diamond tribute act that has ever existed. At least the most, like, known Neil Diamond tribute act. The one thing that I will say for the film, I appreciated Fisher Stevens playing the part of their manager, because when I think relevant celebrities who've done blackface, it is Fisher Stevens and Neil Diamond that leap to mind for me.
Oh shit, man! Yeah, I was like, it's how I was gonna ask in terms of Neil Diamond movies, where does it fall? Because it has to at least be above The Jazz Singer.
And I wanted to give you that opportunity to ask that question. Like I said, it's just so hard to, like, swallow. Like, Neil Diamond is hilarious to me. I'm just gonna say that about, like, the person who Neil Diamond is hilarious to me, because freaking Heartlight, you're familiar with the song Heartlight, right?
Yes.
By Neil Diamond.
Yes.
I love that Heartlight is a song legitimately inspired by the motion picture E.T. I think that is the funniest thing in the world to me. That he wrote a song about E.T. because he saw E.T. and he rushed home and he's like, I have to write a song about the film that I just saw.
Oh man, yeah. I like Neil Diamond as a performer has always been one of those kind of ones, those like mythic level performers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't get it, but so many people reference him, so I must be missing something type of attitude, you know. And a couple of those types of performers I've actually come around on as I've grown up and learned a little bit more about myself, my tastes, music in general, just who they are as people. Like, another good example of this is it Tony Bennett that sings "It's Not Unusual"? Is that his name?
I believe so. Yes, I think so.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm like, they're both teens.
I
get it.
and I actually, like, I was not. I was aware of Tom Jones when I was younger, and again, he had this like mythic level of performer that, as far as I knew, he had been around since since Jesus and that sort of shit, and like he just was. Like A-list, never gonna go away, right? And then I started to learn a little bit more about him. He ends up doing some really cool duo albums with a few different artists over the last like 20 years. I think he's like on like The Voice right now as like a judge and shit like that. And it's been really cool to like really kind of rediscover Tom Jones as like an artist, because it's not my style of music, but to deny, you can't deny that he was the king of what he did, and like I kind of hope for that when you hear about this other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, Neil Diamond to me feels like a guy who like wanted to write songs about everything, and he did that. And like, just by the nature of trying to create so much, I mean, that Kamina Ye Ha that I gave out, which is a thing that is said in Saving Silverman. Jack Black says it. It's like this crazy moment. And they meet Neil Diamond in that film. Like, Neil Diamond is in Saving Silverman at the end. Spoilers for Saving Silverman. And on set, he's like, where did you guys come up with Kamina Ye Ha? And they're like, you say it on one of your live albums. Like, he feels like the type of person who has just created and performed so much that there is more that Neil Diamond has forgotten than he could ever remember. Like, it's just... And, like, as somebody who speaks into a microphone, like, weekly, when people reference stuff in the show with me, I'm like, I don't remember that. Because, like, performing is a release. It is like that. And I know that, like, we're just talking, like, I'm not saying me and Neil Diamond are anywhere near the same echelon of humanity. But that idea of, like, you as an audience member, a performer does something and it could mean everything to you, but for the performer, they've done it and they're done with it since that moment. And I don't know, it's just that. And it was I really enjoyed it, but then just the timeline didn't sit right with me. And then reading about it, I'm like, oh, okay, there's a reason why. I guess the last thing is that, like, Craig Brewer is the director, and he worked a little bit on the script. He's Black Snake Moan, and his last, like, big theatrical feature was Footloose in 2011. So, like, it's nice to see him back in movie theaters with a release, with something like Song Sung Blue. And I hope that the fact that, like, Kate Hudson's performance got a little, like, acknowledgement from the Academy means that we're going to see some more from Craig Brewer. Because I like his output. Like, generally, as a creative, I like what he brings to the table. Right? Mm-hmm. He did The Legend of Tarzan. He wrote The Legend of Tarzan. He did Hustle and Flow. Like, he's out there and he's doing stuff. And I hope that this means that he's going to get to do more things. And if not, he made a pretty solid movie that most people seem to enjoy. I just found a very difficult time divorcing the changes that were made to make it fit into a smaller space. That said,
right.
I said we were going to talk about TV this week. I've only seen the first episode, but really I'm undecided on how I want time passage to happen. Because I watched the first episode of Heated Rivalry. Are you familiar with Heated Rivalry?
Oh yeah, yep. No, it's the talk of the town right now.
It's kind of the talk of the town.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I ended up watching Heated Rivalry, the fact that it was the talk of the town, I was like gonna stay away from it. I'm like, this is not the stuff that I tend to avoid. I know I'm a bit of a contrarian and that whole thing. Certainly not the content. Don't do that. But this past Thursday, Shoresy Season 5 finished airing in Canada.
Nice.
And I was having a discussion about Shoresy Season 5, and the person's like, oh, well, have you seen Heated Rivalry? I'm like, no, I was, like, interested. Like, it did seem like something that would like, catch my eye. And they're like, you know it's the Letterkenny guy who's doing it. So I go, and yeah, Jared Hess, who plays Wayne and Shoresy in Shoresy, he's one of the creators. The other is Jacob Turney. He plays Glenn in Letterkenny and Benny, the French hockey commentator in the first 2 seasons of Shoresy.
Nice, yeah, okay, yeah.
And so he's always been sort of behind the cameras while Jared is in front of the cameras. And come to find out, Heated Rivalry is his show. It's Jacob Turney's show. So I'm like, oh, well, I really like what he's able to do with... Like, he's a good creative. I understand that, like, the separation of the Jared Hess and the Jacob Turney and what they bring to it. So I'll definitely check it out. But the first episode, have you seen any of Heated Rivalry is the thing I'm going to ask before we go.
Oh, not yet, but I'm sure it will happen soon.
Oh, I don't.
Because it's like I said, it's so big in all of my friend circles. It's only a day. Like, today I could walk into a room and it will be on.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes. It is the perfect type of length for, like, I love what Canada does when it comes to, like, we're just going to release short stuff. Like, Shoresy started and is over. It was 5 weeks of my life. And, you know, when they showed the finale, they announced the time that it's going to be released in America, which isn't until February 21st. The full season will drop on Hulu February 21st. So I can't talk about Shoresy Season 5 because I did say we'll discuss it once people have a chance to watch it. Like me spoiling Song Sung Blue. It came out in theaters on December 25th. It's been out in the world for a year. I mean, not for a year, for a month. And it's been out on streaming to purchase, not on like an actual platform that you subscribe to, for 2 weeks. There's been opportunity to see Song Sung Blue. So if I'm spoiling it for you in this little podcast, like, I apologize. But the first thing about Heated Rivalry that sits weird with me is that it's fan fiction about real people. Like, the whole book series by Rachel Reed, she basically based the two characters on the real rivalry between Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin. And like, Alexander Ovechkin is somebody I followed because of his career and playing in Boston. So while I'm watching the show, I'm just like, oh, this is based on real people. Now, the characters in the show, Hollander and Razanov, they're original fictional characters, and any activities are created by Rachel Reed. But, like, fan fiction about real people, that's weird to me on a level.
Oh man, yeah. Well, look, man, I don't know how deep you are into the literature world, specifically the romance literature world, but hockey romance is like a genre unto itself.
I've seen the cutting edge, Siege.
And there's and there's like there's an idea of using actual teams. There's fan fiction left and right, but I mean, like in romance in general. So the rules are kind of really like it's romance is one of the few kind of genres I can think of where you're kind of encouraged to get as crazy as you want with as far as like structure goes, right? Things can happen in these stories that are just insane, and they can take place in worlds that don't need any more explanation other than, yep, in this world dragons are anthropomorphic, right? Like, and so this is like there's very few taboos in romance, right? In romance novels, in the romance genre, and so like fan fiction about a real person that then makes it into the thing. I mean, yeah, not surprising.
Yeah, but it is one of those things where like, oh, he's okay. And I guess it's my first sort of experience with something like that. Because, like you said, it's apparent I'm not really a romance novel guy. Like, surprise, surprise.
Man, but there's like some really interesting historic fan fiction-y romance stuff where it's still about real people. It just happens to be people from 200 years ago. So like that maybe that distance is enough to kind of make more sense. But yeah.
But my biggest complaint about I've only seen the first episode. Heated rivalry, like the bulk of that first episode are splash screens of 6 months later, 3 months later, 4 months later, a year later. Like, so while I'm complaining about something like Song Sung Blue condensing 19 years into like 2 years, and it's like only 2 years. Like at the end, they're like, well, we've really only known each other for 2 years. And I'm like, the fuck? I had assumed like some real time had passed. Why would you put that into your script? Like, it really punctuated it weird. Something like Heated Rivalry, that every time I had to read how much time had passed since these two guys interacted, like, it sort of like was that reminder that I was watching a show. It became like a barrier to entry or a barrier to immersion with what I was watching because of how frequently I was being reminded that, it's since they played against each other in that tournament, 6 months have passed. So
I mean, is it a bit that didn't land maybe? Like
possibly. It's possible that it's a bit, but honestly, it just kind of feels like this is how the story happened. Like so then you think about like the passion that these guys end up having for each other. I think part of that is that like absence has made their hearts grow fonder for one another. That like we haven't seen each other since we met at this international tournament 6 months ago. We haven't seen each other.
I do think that it is supposed to highlight something specific about their relationship. That's why I was wondering if it's maybe just a bit to kind of just like really kind of get the point across about how this relationship grew. Because, I don't know. I have to see it for myself to see how it lands for me, because I totally get what you're saying about that pulling you out of it. But on the other hand, if it kind of fits the vibe of what's going on with the rest of the show, then it actually could also be kind of hilarious.
Right, exactly. Like if I like well, like for me, if it's a joke, then it'd be like if before every scene we tell exactly how much time it has been since they've seen each other. So like they're in the lobby and he's like, I'm in room 1481, and then like he's at the door knocking and it's like 3 hours 22 minutes and 15 seconds later.
Well,
like,
we should do our own Linklater style episode and just record 10 minutes of stuff every like 2 months, and then when we put it out, just say 2 months later between every bit.
Yeah. Like that works for me. Like I really dig that type of stuff. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. But yeah, like that, because I was interested in the characters, but it's just as like you start to get going or like immersed, there's like a time jump. And I'm like, at the same time, this is super important. This seems important to their relationship and how they're growing with each other. And honestly, I feel like that same sort of like time to grow and expand the relationship between the Sardinas and Song Sung Blue would have been important. It's just the delivery in both of them. That like, because until that line where like, come on, I've only known you for 2 years, but already you're more of a father than me to my father. And that's not the exact line, but it's something along those lines where they firmly establish that it has only been 2 years. that has happened. I think it's legitimately Hugh Jackman looking through like a day planner, and he's like, look, this is the day that we met and this is what we did, like rehearsals and shows. Here's the day of your accident, and the 6 months since then, this book is empty. And it's like, holy shit, that means that 2 years have passed. What are you trying to do? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, because there's also, that's how it is in Song Sung Blue. Mike Sardina is a recovering alcoholic. He's in AA, so I guess I probably shouldn't be giving his full name. No, we're not at a meeting. I'm just kidding. So his sober birthday is a thing that is important. Like it starts on his sober birthday. That's the night that he meets Kate Hudson, and then a year later, he's like, I'm not going to be able to attend a meeting today because we're going to be traveling to perform tonight. So I wanted to record a message to leave with you guys to let you know how I'm spending my sober birthday. And only a year has passed. And then on his next sober birthday, they watch the video that he made before that. And it confirms that legitimately only 2 years have passed. Like, it would be one thing if the video that we're being watched at the end was that video that we saw getting made, but it is very much a different video. And he gives the date in it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, like, Heated Rivalry, it is the talk of the town. Sejohn is not wrong about that. That's not why I'm watching it. It's because of the creative forces behind it. The first episode gave me some stuff that I'm interested in, but like that delivery method didn't work. But like Sejohn said, maybe it's going to pay off later on. I'm not talking about.
I know that like in true romance fashion, there's like a cast of characters that have romantic kind of stories that intertwine, and like so like usually in romance novels they introduce a big cast of characters, and then the first book is about 2 people, the second book is about 2 other people, the third book's about 2 other people, that sort of thing. But all within the same world, so you kind of get to live in that space. And from what I understand about the heated rivalry of it all, I'm not somebody that has read the books, I am not somebody that has seen the show yet, but from what I understand, it's one of the rare series where the first book hit so well that they actually did a direct sequel just with those 2, but then they have done other books since then, 3 or 4 books since then, that are other people within that world. And so the show, I'm curious to know what the show is doing in terms of timeline compared to the book, because if they're supposedly only got 2 books of these characters, and then there's like other characters they want to kind of, rather than go do their own season, maybe intersperse them or something. I just hope that they're not moving too fast through the story where they're going to run out of material, because the books are apparently a huge hit as well. So
yeah, and there's 6 books. I mean, I think that's why, like, it is with Crave. It is the Canadian content like subscription service Crave, then HBO Max licensed it out. Very similar to how Shoresy and Letterkenny were done. They were done for Crave, and then they're Hulu originals because Hulu paid the licensing fee for America. And honestly, after what I've talked about in Letterkenny season 12 with Hulu like editing it, I understand why for Heated Rivalry they went with somebody like HBO Max, because some of the language, had they stuck with Hulu, would have been edited. And it's like kind of important as to what's going on with just what's happening even in that first episode. So I am excited to see more of it, but it was really interesting to have sort of the three things, right? Song Sung Blue, Blue Moon, and even Heated Rivalry all kind of do these different ways of like exploring time and how time has passed. And like, you know, to have that like distillation in the three newest things that I've experienced, it's given me a lot to think about. And I think Blue Moon, with its unity of time, that like this all takes place over a night, really worked. And I kind of imagine that it has to be in real time based on like they're doing Oklahoma at the start of the second act when Hart leaves the theater and goes to Sardi's, and then people show up at when that act would have finished. Like, I know, it was interesting. It really was. That movie was crackerjack. I recommend Blue Moon to everyone. That's why I haven't given as much away about that one in this episode.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, but that's a lot for me. Siege, what have you been up to? What have you done since Big Bully got its Battlefield promotion to excused absence episode?
Man, I'm trying to remember what was this week or not. Yeah, so part of the reason that I was off last week, or we were off last week, is because I fucked off to Portland for a few days to go spend some time with some friends, and that was a blast. Just did some like really wild stuff out there. One of the things though that we did while we were kind of chilling out at night is we slammed through the first 4 episodes, I think, over the course of 2 days of Deadlock. Have you heard of this show?
No. What is Deadlock?
I had not either. So, and the fact that I hadn't is now really upsetting to me because it is so really up my alley. But it is a hugely funny, dark comedy about a town right at the most southern tip of Tasmania. It is a New Zealand show. I think maybe Australian show, but it's the very southern tip of Tasmania. So there are the weather's kind of gloomy. It's rainy. There's a chance of snow coming in off of the South Pole and things like that, right? Like there's this kind of like really dreary thing about this town, right? But recently they elected their first female mayor, and her whole thing is that she wants to try and make the town more palatable for like tourists and things like that, and it creates this influx of people. And specifically what it starts to do is it creates this influx of lesbians. So you end up with a lot of women in the town that are there, like opening a restaurant that they want to be a Michelin star restaurant, or owning a business where they sell like sheep made wool, like handmade yarn and stuff like that, right? Or what we have as the main character is we have a woman that is in a relationship with her lesbian partner, and she is, from what I can tell, a really damn good detective. But for some reason, she had chose to walk away from that and go to this small town to just be like a beat cop, right? And so she's just a regular cop that just is in this now small ass town that is just new to all of this stuff. She's kind of in this weird space as somebody that is there as like kind of the outsider, one of the outsiders coming into this town, right? And then the whole show is about a murder happening that she then connects to a series of murders that have happened before, and then more bodies keep showing up. So it's an ongoing mystery story that is, got the markings of like a serial killer almost, which is kind of weird. Because like it's not like, because it's kind of hard to pin down motivation when you start talking about that, right? Like
Yeah.
it becomes kind of just like anybody can die, which is kind of scary. And there's everything from like kids doing drugs on the beach and finding a dead body type humor to that hilarious old
Yeah, that
chestnut.
old
Um,
chestnut.
but like the kids are all smoking like weed, right? And then like they trip over the body, and one of them drops it on the pubic hair of the corpse, and it goes up in flames. And so like they're sitting there trying to put out this like fire and hide the cannabis while also like talking about how they have to call the police.
Just for listeners, because it's an audio thing, playing the game of homonyms, it's deadlock with an H, as in a lake, in case you're looking for it, not LOCK, like which I first looked for. So just having fun with that. I also have to ask one question before while I've interrupted your flow here. Is the main lady who's a detective's name Nicole Angela? That was
As
too
a
big for
character
CJ.
or as an actress?
As a character. It was a Nicholas Angel Hot Fuzz reference. It was for me and one other person. Who, thank you for laughing, listener, whoever you may be.
Yeah, but I don't get the impression that like she got knocked down to this level. It seems like something happened, and her I don't know if they're married or not. So a partner or wife, like they moved there, and it's clearly really important to her wife or her partner, like that they are there, and she's not like loving it, but she's making it work, right? Like that's the dynamic. But then what the show really does to introduce some conflict is that not only is she now dealing with this like murder situation, but because of all this, that she's had a outside detective sent down to help her out, and they don't get along, and it's this like rough and tumble woman that like drinks too much, doesn't obey the law, takes evidence from crime scenes without and it upsets her because she's a good cop and all that. So it's got a little bit of that Murdoch and what's his name? Mel Gibson.
Oh, Riggs and Murdoch.
Riggs.
Lethal Weapon. Yeah. I did not have Lethal Weapon on the card. I gotta be honest.
No, it's got a little bit of that Lethal Weapon like stuff to it, because one of them is a by the books cop, one of them is an off the rails cop, and like what are they gonna do? And like it was hard for me at first for the first episode, because when they introduced this rival character that is gonna end up being the frenemy that they depend on, like she is rough. And like you learn later on why, but like she just like is kind of the worst detective you've ever seen in your life. So you can't figure out why she like what the hell the deal is supposed to be. And I was having such a hard time buying into the fact that I wasn't supposed to hate her, because she's supposed to be this other character in this story. I clearly am not supposed to be against her, but man, everything that she's doing is pushing me that way. But then as I said, as the show goes on, you kind of learn a little bit more about why she is behaving the way that she is, and things like that. And like that's what the show wants you to feel about them. So like just for some people that is enjoyable, for some people it's not. And it was kind of on the fence for me for the first episode, but then by about the end of the second episode, third episode, like I was in on the relationship between the two of them, because they are both really funny and really good at like the physical shtick that they're being given, right? There's a lot of like chasing after people drunk in the woods and things like that, and like one of them runs into a tree, and like it's just hilarious, like slapsticky stuff. There's, like I said, I mean, they were the kids like fighting over the corpse, trying to figure out how to put a fire out while not getting evidence on on it. Was just,
I gotta tell you, I'm
just crazy stuff.
I want to go watch it right now. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I think I might be able to convince the family, because we did the one of Heated Rivalry. Let's do the one of this and that. And it does. The more you describe, all I keep thinking of is Hot Fuzz. And I know that's crazy, but that's what it feels.
No, I mean,
like to me.
I mean, it's not a far off comparison, right? Like it's actually that's actually a pretty good entry point. I would say that it does things that are more or different, or it's not Hot Fuzz just told in this way. It's definitely its own thing. But if you want to use Hot Fuzz as like an entry point when you're trying to sell it to somebody, I think that's fair.
Okay, cool. Because I mean, that's just like the idea of like a really good cop now being in a small town. That feels that, but then also the idea of like this shit cop, but like apparently got enough to like be the person they're gonna send up to like this is now serious. Like it all kind of working for me. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah. No, no, it's good stuff. It's just,
Um,
it's a really abrasive show, like all around. And I don't know if that is because of the content itself. I don't know if I felt that because it's not an American made show. So maybe there's just some like things I'm bringing to the table that necessarily shouldn't be, I don't know what about it made it so abrasive at first, but it definitely grew on me. So it's one of those kinds of experiences, just as a warning, I guess.
well, I mean, I guess I started the garden of heated rivalry. Why not throw in some deadlock to like try to fill it all
Um,
out? And I won't be
besides
gardening in front of
that,
my house where there's a hellacious curve. Don't worry, anybody.
but besides that, I spent some time yesterday diving deep into those ROM hacks that got sent my way by some mysterious stranger who,
Let's call him an Axum Ranger.
yeah, yeah.
um,
Some good stuff there, man. These are ROM hacks for Super Mario RPG. They play on any Super Nintendo emulator. I've got two or three that I tried them on all three and it worked. But the reason I was trying them on all three is I couldn't figure out how to get one of them to connect to my. I'm using my PlayStation 5 controller on
oh,
my
nice.
computer at the moment. Just checking out like what games and how it feels using something like that because I'm trying to decide on a new gaming PC controller. I want a good wireless controller that I know is dedicated to my computer. And so I'm just kind of testing stuff that I already have in the house first to see what I like. So anyway, so I was trying it on a whole
If
bunch of different stuff.
well, I'll introduce the
And
answer.
when I opened, I didn't realize that there was a series in there of connected ones. There's a story kind of taking place with the Koopa Bros, and that leads to Super Mario, the Koopa Bros versus Super Mario, right?
Yeah.
And then it feels like the Axum Rangers story is in that same world because there's like some references to some stuff. It's really wild. But then I also tried that Dark Souls esque version one that you sent.
The Nightmare one, Endless Nightmare,
Yeah,
which is like a roguelite. So I'm going to say
yeah.
the only one I was expecting to like put a little bit of time into all of them, but then the Axum Rangers one, I got so deep into. Like the one of the first bosses that you fight is Yuridovich, who in the original game is like the fifth like major boss you come against. And
Mhm.
I was so like, I need to beat this. I need to defeat this boss. That like I had no other time to dedicate to any of the other ones. At the most, I wanted to look at the Endless Nightmare roguelite one because it felt like it would be its own entity from those first three. But then I'm like, but if I want to test this person's pedigree, I want to try all of them. And Axum Rangers was such an engaging and difficult experience that it's where I ended up putting all my time.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I don't
yeah.
know
So
how.
so Axum Ranger is it's a pretty good it's a pretty good package and explanation of what this guy is capable of, what this person is capable of as far as these ROMs go, because it's got some really good retelling of the story, like right, like the way that it utilizes some of the stuff from Super Mario RPG, but then somehow turns it into its own world almost,
Yeah.
right? Like it's really good in that regard. But then on top of that, the combat mechanics are super interesting with the Axe Ranger one because of the idea that like you kind of know like one of these guys is going to be like you already know the pre-built team coming,
Yeah.
it's not like in when you first play Super Mario um
RPG.
RPG for the first time where you kind of have to like, you have to figure out what everybody's really capable of, right? You have to work with them and figure out like, okay, Malo's really more powerful when he does some magic stuff, so I'll lean into giving him MP and stuff. And like there's a sense of discovery with Super Mario RPG that I thought was, usually when you see mods for games that you've already played, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm not gonna be too surprised by where this goes. But there's actually like some real benefits and joy that I'm finding in like knowing what the Rangers are gonna be doing when I find them, or be capable of when I find them.
For me, like the big thing is that like so Red is kind of Mario, down to the fact that he has jump as the first like special move, but then the second special move you get is snowballs instead of fireballs. So like that completely changes how that's going to affect like weaknesses against some of the enemies.
Yeah, right.
And Yellow starting with Scare-Arise, so Terrorize from Bowser's kit set, but like attacking like Mallow, and then the second move that Yellow unlocks is HP Rain. So I'm like, I am all over the board in terms of like what these characters are going to use. It reminded me of like the first time I did a Super Mario RPG randomizer, where I was like surprised by how things got shifted around just by moving the code.
Yeah, there's a sense of discovery in these mods. I think this is what I was stumbling through saying, is like there's a sense of discovery in these mods as if you're playing the first time, even though there are familiar handholds, which was great. I really love the Koopa Bros story too. Like I don't want to get too far away from that. That story is just super fun. You you play a Koopa, and from what I could tell, the story starts just a few moments before Super Mario RPG starts. So it actually uses like the story of Super Mario RPG as part of it, where you kind of go to Bowser just before he heads off to kidnap Peach. For anybody that doesn't remember the like cold open of Super Mario RPG, Bowser kidnaps Peach, you go and you fight Bowser, but then in the middle of the fight with Bowser, all the sword comes down and all the shit starts for Super Mario RPG. So like you're in the middle of a good old fashioned Mario story when it all goes off the rails, and being able to see the Bowser side of that essentially is really cool.
That's awesome. I was excited because they're in Paper Mario. They're one of my favorite parts of the original Paper Mario. This like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sort of parody, as done as Koopa Troopas, as the Super Koopa Brothers. So like to get more time with those established characters has me very excited. And like I said, I honestly, the Axum Rangers in Super Mario RPG, they are picture perfect in terms of a pop culture reference that transcends both Japan and America when the game releases in 1996. Like I understand why they exist. I was not expecting the depth that was on display in the ROM hack with them. Like, I really thought that it was just going to be like a quick, I'll give this one a try and then I'll move on to the next one. And then suddenly I'm like 10 hours deep as the Axum Rangers because of the difficulty, because of having to understand how these characters are different. Here's a crazy thing. I don't know if you've gotten to a place where you can equip weapons on them yet.
Okay.
For the Axum Rangers? No. Yeah. It's a pretty long time before you get to a shop that sells weapons, and I didn't find anything up until before that point. And the two weapons that are available are a hammer and the froggy stick. Maybe not the froggy stick, maybe like the first one that's available. I think the froggy stick might be the first in that whole path. So I figure, okay, so the hammer will go to Red, and because Yellow is such an amalgamation of Mallow things, the froggy stick will go for Yellow. Nope. I don't know which Axum Ranger is going to be using the froggy stick, Sejohn, because it's not Yellow, and they're so far my only party members. So we'll see. But it has been like really, really a nice surprise is what I have to say about it. So
yeah, it was a blast when those mysteriously got sent my way. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. In terms of emulation, guess what? We spent a good 4 hours playing last night, just hanging out, passing time. Tony Hawk Underground for the PlayStation 2.
Hell yeah, man.
I forgot
How
just
did
how
that go?
good
How
that
was
is.
it playing?
Oh, so good. Like, I forgot,
Nice.
like, we did the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 episode, right? And that
Yeah.
game is such, like, the primordial ooze of just the kit set that you eventually get in Tony Hawk Underground, which is the first Tony Hawk game that I kind of, like, played on my own. Not, like, with a
Okay.
group
Yeah.
of people or anything like that. So Thug
Mhm.
has always been what my mind defaults to in terms of what I can do on the skateboard. So, like, being able to, like, switch up lip tricks the way that it allows you to. Reverts, which is such a huge part of the Tony Hawk Underground experience, because that's one of the ways that you keep your combo going. Getting off your board as a way to maintain your combo. Like, just a blast. I forgot how good it is. And we were just rocketing through the story. And then, like, I looked up and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
I mean, I think the lip tricks and the reverts and stuff like that have been part of it, because that's always been how you get like the super combos.
Yeah.
But the getting off your board moments, and I mean, not to like ignore like the whole concept of the story, and like getting like, depending on what you do, can kind of dictate some stuff about the world type shit like that. Not in any meaningful like long term way, but for like for the moment, like it's really interesting in that regard. Thug is, I hope it's on the way as far as the remakes go, because 1 through 4 have been fantastic, and I would just love to see them give a little love to Thug, because it was such a big thing for people in college and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it takes what is a wonderful idea of a game. The Tony Hawk games, I do enjoy them. I really enjoyed getting to play 2 for the show. But the fact that you go into these beautiful levels and you really only have like the 2 minutes in them, in that sort of arcade style stuff, like Tony Hawk Underground, you get to know the areas. Like it's these big open worlds that you're doing this stuff in, and there's no time limit. I mean, there's time limit on some of the challenges, but really, like, you can just skate around. Adding the open world elements of like Grand Theft Auto 3 feels really like they were aping on at the time. And that's all those games were. Tony Hawk Pro Skater games are really chasing the trends in the gaming world while also establishing new ones. And it works so well in that world to like give it an overarching story the way that they do. And I love it. I was having so much fun with it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times. Really good times. But in terms of gaming, and you've already heard about it at the start of the episode, which Sejohn's probably like, what's he talking about? But you'll know what I'm talking about in a bit. There's a game that I've been playing that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but I do want to mention that I've been playing, because it's kind of been my central focus in gaming, and it's sort of reinvigorated my feeling to play video games, which has kind of been nice. And that is a Metroidvania that released last year in March, so March of 2025, called Zexion. Zexion. And it's very reminiscent of Metroid on the NES in terms of the visuals and everything. But as soon as you start playing the game, all of that goes out the window. It is one of the most like movement complex Metroidvanias I have played in a long time. And most of it is accomplished with just 3 buttons, which some people say is to its detriment. The fact that like there's several jump moves all attached to a single button. But honestly, the reason for that is that they build on each other. And depending on which one you start with, you have a whole combination of things you can do. I finished it with
I threw this on my wish list recently because it's part of the big sale that's going on right now, isn't it?
Right, yeah. And that sale, as we mentioned earlier, it ends at 1 p.m. the day that this episode releases. And Zexion is currently, it's a $20 game. It's currently $13.99. Again, we're not sponsored by them. Just the amount of fun that I have had with the game leads me to like, I was so down on Metroid Prime 4. Like I can't remember a time that I've been that negative on the show. That game was really a disappointment to me. And I'm not really like a Metroid Prime fan. I'm just like a fan of video games, and that one left me with a sour taste in my mouth. So then so quickly to find another game that reinvigorates that like spirit of exploration. I finished it with 100% item percent. I'm fucking mad. I had hoped to do it beforehand, but we got started late watching Blue Moon, and I wanted to make sure that that was fresh in my head for this recording.
Okay.
So I am currently at 99.94% map completion. 0.06% stands between me and a full 100% of this game. And I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go.
Oh, no.
Like, how do I have 100% of the items, but I haven't been everywhere in the map? What are you doing to me?
Yeah. Oh,
so
man.
I'll figure it out. Apparently it happens. And, like, very rarely. The game, it's like that old school type of thing. Here's the thing. I don't want to talk too much about it because next week's episode is going to be called the Zexion Report. So if you're a listener and you're able to get it cheap, go get it cheap right now. That's why we added the before show stuff to tell you that it's on sale. So it's not happening an hour and 30 minutes into the episode because I wanted to start with it and I forgot, right? I'll declare all of this, right? Even though I have no need to, because you heard me and Sejohn do a little dumb show about this.
Is this how small? 28 megabytes is all that it needs. That's wild.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
200. Anyway,
the game is so much. So we're going to talk about it next week. But I have to, and that's what also when I'll tell my game of the year for last year. Unfortunately, Zexion is not in the running because I didn't play it until 2026. But I can say, as the final like teaser sting and a bit of a Sejohn's gambit, if you will, had I played Zexion in 2025, it would have been my game of the year. That is where
nice.
I'm at. And then the last thing, if you're still on the fence about
purchased.
Excellent. It has some really nice accessibility options if you're not somebody who's used to playing that type of game. So do not be overwhelmed by it. And then also it has a built-in randomizer mode, which is one of the other reasons why we're not talking about it this week, because I want to complete a randomizer seed of the game as well. And I'm only about 3 hours into my randomizer playthrough of the game. And the fact that we're now including them in these games really does feel like a natural evolution in so many ways. But yeah, Zexion, real good. And like we said in the beginning, it was on sale at the time this episode released. If you have any inkling of interest, definitely give it a shot. But also at $20, 28 megabytes, there's a lot of game going on in there.
Nice.
Is
Excellent.
what I'm going to say. So that, I think that covers almost everything. Oh, I put something into business that I wanted to make sure we addressed, and we're going to blow up the everything. We're going to blow up everything for these people.
Okay.
But do you have anything else that you want to talk about before I drop this bomb?
I'm trying to figure out the exact release date on Steam World Heist 2. Was that 2024 or was that 2025?
I believe it was 2024.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Well, it was, right?
Well,
you
then
found
I gotta
it?
figure out a new one.
Cool. That's excellent. I mean, that'll be fun. So Game of the Year's next episode. That'll be fun. I talked about how the Skydance was re-looking at the whole CBS slate since they had this whole month off. I can say January 22nd, they renewed 10 series in a single day.
Whoa.
So all flavors of NCIS are coming back. Yeah.
We got to talk about Ubisoft next week too, because some weird shit went down there this week.
All right, that seems fair.
I don't know what the future of it is, and I feel like it's probably going to be Microsoft. But anyway, we'll talk about that
as if Microsoft is in any like catbird position right now. People are not happy with Microsoft either. the Zexian Report's going to be a good episode, but hopefully this was a good episode as well. But if it wasn't, perhaps this groundbreaking Say Report freaking exclusive that is going to blow the lid off of McDonald's online order system will be enough to bring you all to the joy and rapturous, like, passion for the Say Report that you've been craving.
Okay.
So, have you ever ordered using the McDonald's app?
No. If it's anything like their kiosks in the store, I guess I have, but no.
I've never ordered off of a kiosk in the store, so we each have each other at a bit of a disadvantage, or we're the perfect human being, because you can handle inside McDonald's orders, and I got it on the app. When you place the order on the app, you are given an alphanumeric code. It is 2 letters and 2 numbers. And when you get to the drive-thru, they say, "Are you using your app today?" And I go, "Yes, I have an online order," and the code is VC24. So I picked up McDonald's. I go to McDonald's a lot, not mostly for food, but because, like, the drinks used to be super affordable. Like, it was $1 for a soda, and, like, I'd rather buy a soda for the day rather than have, like, cans in my house, because then I'll just keep drinking cans of soda. Ditto with, like, 2 liters. But if I have, like, 1 large Coke from McDonald's, I'll find a way to make that last all day. I say that I don't go to McDonald's that much. The fact that they're bringing back, like, the Transformers McDonald's stuff, the Transformables, start on January 27th. I'm going to try to get all 13 of those, even though I really just want the fry-a-later, the grill, and I think it's the soda machine.
Man, I used to have a bunch of that sort of stuff. I wonder if my parents still have the old. We had a chest of toys that was just specifically Happy Meal
stuff?
and McDonald and Burger King and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, we offloaded that in 2020. Like, we went through it, and we kept all, like, the good stuff that was in good condition, and then everything else we just got rid of, which was a good time. It was a fun thing to do, but yeah, that is, everybody kind of collected, like, Kids Meal, Happy Meal toys in the 90s. It's just the thing that we did, and some of them are worth money, and it turns out I have none of those. But yeah, so I go to McDonald's. It is 5:00 at night, and I'm like, I just want to get, like, a soda so that I have one for the rest of the evening. Like, I'm just gonna be hanging out, playing games, watching a couple of shows. I want a Sprite tonight. So I place my order. I'm given my numeric code, and I give the code to the guy, but I got the last number wrong. I had the first 3 numbers correct, but the last number was incorrect. So I'm at McDonald's enough. They know who I am. That doesn't bother me. That's called good customer service. These people I know who, like, go somewhere and then they're like, "Oh my God, they know me here now. I can't come here ever again." No, like, that's what I feel you should be striving for, is to be the type of customer that people know. Now, you don't want to be the type of customer that people know and they're like, "Fuck, I don't want to deal with this person."
Yeah, right.
But
right.
like, you know, people who, like, genuinely seem happy to see you because you're not causing problems, or, like, you just, like, come in with a good attitude. I like that. I do enjoy that. Maybe I've never considered those people who are like, I can never go back there. They know who I am now. Maybe they're doing some shit that, like, they're not proud of.
Yeah.
But every time I go, this is my local McDonald's, my home-based McDonald's, which I'm not going to tell you where that is, but I will say this for those who live in Coventry: it's not the one on Tioga Avenue. When I go by at the window where, like, you used to pay, that 2-window system, we should look into that someday, because I feel like that second window is always closed now, especially with AI.
Yeah.
Like, it's something.
Well, the crazier thing around here for me is that there's been a bunch of, there's always new fast food joints opening up in Utah. And how many of the new ones also have them, but then they're not using them. I assumed at some point they would just kind of work that out of the the concept if they're never going to be used. But I mean, I guess maybe they're good for, like, overflow or whatever.
Yeah, I'm probably never going to McDonald's at a time when McDonald's is busy. right? Like that's where it comes through. The crazier thing to me, and I don't eat there, but like Chick-fil-A, that they only have a single window. Cause like
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
the
one
reason why
that
those
like
guys have lines that go around the fucking block.
right. But yeah, so driving by that window, it's always the person who takes the orders, and I look to see if they need anything from me, but they usually give me a big thumbs up. And so I go to the window, and the guy gives me that big thumbs up, and I go, no, I got to talk to you. And he opens it up, and I go, I don't deserve the thumbs up today. I messed up giving you my number from the app. I had the last number wrong. I'm glad you're able to find it. And he goes, and this is, like, as far as I know, very proprietary information that I'm sharing right now. Oh, only the first 3 numbers matter. We only see the first 3 numbers.
Okay.
What? Why are you giving
But that wasn't your order, right?
Oh, my order. I got my order properly. I got my order correctly, and that's why he gave me the thumbs up. He found me because I give my number, and then they go, oh, for Devon, and I go, that's correct, and they're like, I'll see you up there. Now, also, while we're talking about this, that whole 2 window issue is an issue because Dale saw this, but I have witnessed it as well. Dale actually had to deal with it. I've just witnessed it, like videos and things. Sometimes when you give like an online order, they're like, all right, you can pull around to the last window. There are people who pull out of the drive-thru around the line to the last window, thinking that they get to skip the line because they did that online order. No. You're getting your food at the last window once the people in front of you get their food. You don't circumvent the line.
Yeah, that's a wild thought. I mean, if you wanted to do something like that, go inside.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that's for. Crazy. And Dale, like, she almost got hit by somebody who did that and then tried to cut in front of her. Like, weird, wild stuff. Like, how have you never been in a drive-thru before? There's an etiquette. So, like, I give my number, and I gave the number.
Also, just common sense. I mean, like, I don't want to.
We do not have enough time to start addressing a lack of common sense in this country at the end of this episode, Sejohn. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. But yeah, so I go, so usually I give my number, right? Like, so like VC24, like that's a number that means something to the show because that was a McDonald's order that I had like years ago. And I almost got it tattooed on my hand accidentally. But like, if that had been, like, I'm given VC24 and I went up there and said, it's VC25, they would say, for Devon? And I'd say yes, because all they see in the store, apparently, is the VC2. The last number doesn't matter. That's crazy to me. Why are you generating the last number? Exactly. And like I said, we don't have time to discuss common sense in the United States of America at the tail end of the episode. But it was a thing that, like he looked me dead in the eyes and he's like, oh, we only see the first 3 numbers. We don't see the last number. I think that's for, like, internal tracking. And I'm like, oh, okay. What the hell?
Wild.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. But that is the thing. We're blowing the roof off of it. Say report exclusive. Ka-cam! You only need the first 3 numbers for your McDonald's online orders. And if you try that and it doesn't work out, I apologize in advance. Because this guy has just played the greatest prank in the world on me, Sejohn, and the entire Say Report community.
I think this piece of information might honestly be the textbook definition of trivial.
Yeah.
Like this little detail is so it's not gonna stop something good from happening or bad. It's kind of nonplussed.
Well, you know what I like then? I like that we have, in this first episode of Season 10, identified something truly trivial. There's not a lot of that left in the world, unfortunately.
Everything is going to be the end of everything.
Yeah, so, oof. But there we go. All right. Anything else, Sejohn, before we send this one off to Will to finish her off?
No, man.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report, our Season 10 premiere. If you liked what you heard and you want to keep the conversation going, you can join us in our Discord server. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still at Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. I almost fucked that. Just go to the About section and there are invitations. Just click and you can join the Discord and you can keep it going all week between episodes. If you're not on Discord, well, if you're not on social media, that's where that starts. You can send an email to us, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we can facilitate you with an invitation to join. And if you're not a Discord user and you're not interested in becoming a Discord user, then you can always just send emails to thesayreport@gmail.com. And the most important thing there is that if it's for me, Devon Decker, or him, Sejohn Sarwick, you just put our first name in the subject line and it will be distributed to the appropriate Say Reporter for them to read. But do keep in mind that if Sejohn reads it and he thinks it's worth sharing on the show, then he's going to share it on the show. Any submissions or really conversations you have with either of us are open to being talked about on the show. Just keep that in mind. Our non-existent lawyer makes me mention that every episode, just in case. We wouldn't want to get sued, even though I am calling down the ire of McDonald's by that little revelation. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We have some really exciting stuff that's going to be happening in this 10th season of the Say Report. I'm resurrecting some stuff from my earlier podcasting days. It's going to be a lot of really good things happening. So just strap in, enjoy the ride. Thanks for joining us. And William, please bring us home.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.